Have you ever wished you could spot a narcissist from the very first moment you met them? As if there were a mirror that reflected their true essence, stripped of charm, stripped of the flawless mask revealing only emptiness, fragility, and a desperate hunger for power. Trust me, you don't need magic or advanced technology to do this. With just one simple question and 5 seconds of observation, you can expose a narcissist right before your eyes. In today's video, I'll show you the 5-second test that tears away the mask they try so hard to hide behind, the dangerous red flags you must watch for, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself from their toxic game of manipulation. Watch until the very end, because this could change the way you see every relationship in your life. And if you find this message valuable, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss the insights that help you become stronger, freer, and truly happier. Script 1. Boundaries. The 5-second test to expose a narcissist. There's a truth few people realize. Real power doesn't come from how well you argue, but from whether you dare to say no and stand firm in your silence. To a narcissist, every encounter is like a hidden test to see if you can be easily controlled. And the simplest way to expose them is to set a clear boundary and then observe their reaction in the first 5 seconds. A normal person, when you decline their invitation or request, may feel a little disappointed but will smile and accept it. With a narcissist, it's different. They don't care if you're busy or tired. The only thing they care about is, do I still control you? That's why all it takes is a short line like, sorry, I need some time for myself today. In that very moment, their polished mask begins to crack. Within just 5 seconds, you'll notice the shift, an awkward look, a forced smile, or even a subtle jab filled with hidden contempt. Your boundary is the mirror. And when they look into it, the narcissist doesn't see your strength, they see their own powerlessness. Why do they fear boundaries so much? Because boundaries equal freedom. When you dare to say no, you are declaring, I do not belong to your game. That terrifies them not because they lose you, but because they lose control. Imagine a puppet suddenly cutting its strings, standing tall, and walking away. The puppeteer doesn't just fail, they fall into panic because they've lost the very tool that proved their power. To the narcissist, you are that puppet, and your boundaries are the blade that sets you free. The moment you draw a line, they'll test you. Usually in 3 ways. They may play the victim. I planned this all for you, and now you're saying no? They may belittle you. Oh, I guess you're busy doing something unimportant. Or worse, they may pressure and blame. If you don't help, everything will fall apart and it will be your fault. In their eyes, your boundary isn't respect, it's defiance, and they must win. But that is your chance to see the truth. Behind the charming smile lies an empty soul, surviving only by trespassing into the space of others. The key isn't the words you say, it's the firmness in your stance. If you waver, make excuses, or over-explain, you signal, I can still be swayed. Remember, the clearer your boundary, the safer you are. For example, when they plead, just this once, please, you can calmly reply, I understand, but I can't today. Short, steady, no further explanation. Then silence. That silence speaks louder than any argument. Many people fear setting boundaries because they don't want to seem cold. But you must understand, boundaries are not walls against others, they are shields for yourself. Those who respect you will honor them. Those who don't never truly respected you in the first place. A healthy relationship always has balance. If one demands and the other always sacrifices, that's not love, it's manipulation. And when you dare to say no, you don't just protect yourself, you reveal the truth. They never loved you, they only loved the power they had over you. If your heart trembles as you hear these words, it's likely because your boundaries have been crossed many times. You've compromised, sacrificed, lost your voice. But today, remember this. You are not selfish for protecting your peace. Every time you say no, you rewrite your story. You are no longer the victim, you are the one in power. and no narcissist can stand that truth. In the narcissist game, your silence is the closing bell. They may try everything to pull you back, but if you remain steady, their grip will fade. And the miracle is, you don't need to scream, you don't need to prove yourself. Just one short sentence, one firm silence, and within 5 seconds their mask begins to fall. Remember, boundaries don't just protect you from narcissists. They give you the greatest gift of all, freedom and self-respect. Script 2, the truth. Lies can't hide forever. Here's something you need to keep in mind. For a narcissist, truth is never the foundation of a relationship. It's raw material they mold into a weapon. They don't use truth to build trust, but to twist, bend, and reshape it into a tool that serves their control. Every word they speak is not genuine communication, but a calculated step to manage your emotions and behavior. And the simplest way to expose them is to ask one direct question and then watch their reaction in those first few seconds. A normal person, when confronted with a contradiction in their story, may blush, stumble, or even feel embarrassed. They might try to explain or offer an honest apology because deep down they still carry a basic need to preserve trust and respect in the relationship. But a narcissist is different. When you present evidence that threatens to reveal their cracks, it stops being about truth or falsehood. It becomes a battle for power. Imagine asking a short, sharp question. Why doesn't what you said match what actually happened? In that moment, the carefully built mask shakes. In less than 5 seconds, they must react. And that reaction is the clearest evidence of who you're really dealing with. If it's a narcissist, they'll pivot instantly. They may lash out with anger, sharp tone, intimidating stare, trying to plant fear. Don't challenge me. If that fails, they'll switch to denial. I never said that. You must be remembering wrong. And if you still stand firm, they'll unleash their final trick, psychological manipulation. They'll plant seeds of doubt. You're exaggerating, you're too sensitive. This is their familiar game, what psychologists call gaslighting, making you question your memory, your feelings, your sanity. Narcissists know that once you start doubting yourself, once you step away from trusting your intuition, the power slides right back into their hands. But you must remember, truth does not need permission to exist. It stands firm despite their distortions. If you stay steady, you'll see the picture clearly. Their explosive anger, their illogical denials, their manipulative words, all to hide one fear: exposure. What matters most is your attitude. When you catch a lie, don't fall into the endless spiral of arguments. Don't exhaust yourself trying to prove every detail. Face them with calm, as if you're watching a play where you already know the script. When they deny, you don't need to argue. When they rage, you don't need to fear. When they try to manipulate, you simply stand firm in your clarity. The difference between a healthy person and a narcissist lies in their reaction to truth. A healthy person seeks repair. A narcissist seeks destruction. And the moment you ask the question, you've already given them the stage to expose themselves. You might wonder, what should I do when they keep lying? The answer isn't in dissecting every detail to prove them wrong, but in realizing, I don't need their permission to believe what I've seen. When you trust your eyes, your experiences, your inner knowing, their words, no matter how decorated, become nothing more than empty noise. Picture yourself sitting before an actor delivering such a convincing performance that the audience is moved to tears. But you know it's only a play. Once you realize that, you're no longer swept away by the emotions he tries to stir. You can still watch, you can even smile, but you're no longer the puppet of his script. It's the same with a narcissist. They may build an entire world of lies, but you're no longer the one who has to live inside it. Here's the truth. Every time you dare to look straight at a lie, you don't just see them more clearly, you see yourself more clearly. You realize you don't need an apology to feel complete. You don't need their confession to validate your own experience. And when you stand in your truth, you win not by silencing them, but by refusing to let their words hold power over your heart. If you're listening now and remembering times when you doubted your own feelings, know this: you were never wrong. Your emotions were real. Your experiences were real. And truth doesn't disappear just because someone denies it. So next time you catch a lie from a narcissist, don't turn yourself into a judge trying to convict them. Become the gatekeeper of your own soul. Ask yourself, will I allow this lie to enter and disturb my peace? If the answer is no, close the gate, calmly, firmly. No argument needed. When you can do that, you haven't just exposed the narcissist, you freed yourself. Script 3. When you refuse to tolerate toxic behavior, here's a harsh truth. Narcissists are not truly grown-ups inside. Beneath their polished exterior is still a selfish child demanding the world revolve around them, convinced that attention, indulgence, and center stage are their birthright. They are used to giving orders, used to others yielding, used to watching you compromise to keep the peace. And that's why the moment you dare to refuse, the moment you say, I will not accept the way you treat me like this, their entire performance begins to shake. A normal person, when told their behavior is hurtful, will at least pause, reflect, and sometimes even apologize. They understand that respect is the foundation of any relationship. But narcissists are completely different. When you reject their toxic behavior, they don't feel remorse. They feel challenged. In their eyes, your resistance is not a gentle reminder, it's a direct blow to their already fragile ego. Picture this. You calmly say you won't accept being shouted at, or you ask, do you think it's right to keep belittling me in front of others? In that moment, instead of listening, they flip into defense mode. A typical narcissist may smirk, mock you, or even attack back. You're too sensitive. It's not a big deal. This is not accidental denial. It's a tactic. They want to twist your rightful resistance into something shameful so you begin to doubt yourself. But beneath those words lies a deeper fear, the fear of losing power. Narcissists feed on controlling the emotions of others. They survive by keeping you trapped in anxiety, fear, and hope. When you reject their toxic behavior, you cut off their only fuel source, and that is something they cannot bear. Here's what you must remember. Don't fall into their trap. They want to drag you into a meaningless battle where you explain, prove, and justify your perfectly valid feelings. The more you talk, the more energy you lose. The more you argue, the deeper you get pulled into their scripted game. It's a psychological trap turning you from victim into the problem. So what should you do? First, stay calm. Remember, you don't need to shout louder to prove you're right. Real strength comes from calm clarity. A short sentence like, I don't agree with the way you're speaking to me, is enough. No long speeches, no back and forth, and then silence. Let that silence become the wall that shields you from their storm. Some people feel guilty doing this because you're used to carrying the weight, keeping the peace, sacrificing yourself to hold the relationship together. But ask yourself this. Is any relationship worth saving if it demands you sacrifice your self-respect to maintain it? If you must lose yourself to preserve peace, then it isn't peace, it's surrender. The truth is, the moment you refuse toxic behavior is the moment you learn to love yourself more deeply. You realize your peace matters more than pleasing anyone. You understand that love does not mean unconditional endurance. And you begin to clearly see who truly values you and who is only using you to feed their empty ego. Ironically, when you stand firm in your truth, the narcissist reacts even more intensely. They may rage, blame, or switch to playing the victim. They may cry, beg for pity, just to test if you'll waver. But remember, tears are not always repentance. Often, they are just another tactic, and your job is not to analyze the sincerity of their tears. Your job is to protect yourself. A healthy relationship never forces you to choose between compassion and self-respect. But with a narcissist, you are constantly forced to sacrifice yourself to prove your love. The painful truth is, real love never demands endless one-sided sacrifice. When you refuse toxic behavior, you are not destroying love. You are exposing the illusion that was never love to begin with. If you hear this and recognize yourself in these words, know this: you are not alone. Many have walked this path. They once felt buried under guilt, believing resistance made them wrong. They once mistook the narcissist's rage as proof they were at fault. But when they finally found the courage to say no, they discovered a greater truth. Peace doesn't come from pleasing others, but from honoring yourself. And when you learn this, you stop fearing their outbursts. You see them for what they are: passing storms, loud, chaotic, but always fading when there's nothing left to destroy. Meanwhile, your calm and steadiness is the true sky, vast and enduring. Remember, it is not your job to heal a narcissist by enduring them. It is not your duty to pay with your pain so they can feel important. Your only responsibility is to guard the wholeness of your soul. And sometimes, refusal itself is the strongest medicine, not only to protect yourself, but to reveal the truth. They have no power over you anymore. In the narcissist's game, victory does not come from fighting to change them. Victory comes from stepping out of the game altogether, holding your head high, and saying, "I'm no longer playing." And when you do that, you don't just escape them, you rediscover yourself. Script 4. When your compassion is exploited. In this world, there is a gift more precious than any possession: the ability to love and empathize. A heart that can step into another's shoes, share their pain, and forgive even before wounds have healed is the very light that keeps humanity warm. And you, those who carry that compassion, are the anchor for family, friends, even strangers. Yet, that very gift is what makes you the perfect target for narcissists. Let me be clear. Narcissists do not love you. They love the energy radiating from you. They love how your light soothes the darkness inside them. They love your patience, your gentleness, your willingness to give without keeping score. But they do not love you, the real you. In their eyes, you are not a person to be cherished, but a stream to drain, a lamp to exhaust, a door to walk through whenever they wish. That's the heartbreaking paradox. Your finest qualities become the very doorway they exploit. They approach you disguised as someone broken, in need of rescue, a soul crying out for healing. They share tragedies, losses, and wounds that seem profound. They knock on your heart not with arrogance, but with calculated vulnerability. And because you are compassionate, you open the door, extend your arms, hold them close, believing your love can heal everything. But soon you realize their weakness was only a tool. The more you give, the more they demand. The more you forgive, the more they push your limits. The harder you try to lift them, the more they lean on you to drag you down. One day, you look back and find yourself exhausted, soul-weary, heart-fractured, your light dimmed simply because you gave too much to someone who never truly valued it. The narcissist envies the very thing they seek from you. They envy your ability to live authentically, to love unconditionally, to delight in simple joys. Deep down they scream, "Why do you have what I can never possess?" And instead of learning, instead of changing, they choose to pull you down, to stain what is pure in you, until you feel as empty as they are. The danger is you may not notice right away. Narcissists know how to disguise exploitation as a love story. They make you believe your sacrifices, prove your love. They blur the line between being needed and being used. They turn your compassion, a sacred gift, into chains that bind you to them. But you must remember, compassion does not mean endless self-sacrifice. True compassion comes with wisdom. It knows when to give and when to stop. It knows that loving others does not mean forgetting yourself. And this is the very lesson narcissists fear most, that you might begin to love yourself as much as you once loved them. If you pause and observe, you'll see the signs. Someone who truly needs you will treasure every bit of care, and they'll give back in whatever way they can. A narcissist, however, only takes. They treat your kindness as their entitlement. And when you're drained, instead of lifting you up, they accuse you of not loving enough. That's your signal. Love can never be one-sided sacrifice. Refusing exploitation does not make you cruel. On the contrary, it is an act of deep self-love. By setting boundaries, you don't just protect your heart, you keep your inner light from being extinguished. A simple line like, "I'm sorry, but I can't help you this time," is enough. And within 5 seconds of saying it, you'll see the truth. Someone who values you will nod and thank you. A narcissist will rage, sulk, or try to guilt you. That's the test of recognition. And it shows you clearly the ones truly worthy of your love will never demand the cost of your peace. If you hear this and realize you've been caught in that cycle, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for loving too much, for trusting too deeply, for hoping your love could heal a heart unwilling to change. Forgive yourself, because the truth is, you were never wrong for being compassionate. Your only mistake was forgetting that you too deserve love, protection, and to be put first. When you reclaim your light, the narcissist will tremble. Because when you are no longer swayed by tears or pleas, they lose the fuel they've fed on all along, and you'll discover a liberating truth. You don't have to kill your compassion to break free. You only need to direct it wisely, beginning with yourself. Remember, your compassion is not a wound for anyone to exploit. It is your strength. And when you learn to wield that strength with clarity, you become someone no one can ever use again. Script 5. When your trust is betrayed, trust is the foundation of every relationship. It is like an invisible thread that ties two people together, allowing them to open up, to feel safe, placing themselves in each other's hands without fear. When you give trust, you are not only offering a promise, you are offering your heart. And yet, heartbreakingly, this precious gift often becomes the very doorway a narcissist uses to enter your life. A narcissist does not see your trust as sacred, but as a golden key. As long as you trust them, the door opens. And once it opens, they do not step in to honor it, they step in to take possession. They exploit your sincerity as a ticket into your private garden, and then slowly strip every flower, uproot every tree, leaving behind barren ground. At first, they arrive cloaked in irresistible charm. They say sweet words. They make you believe they are special, that you are lucky to have been chosen by them. They skillfully craft an image of perfection, strong yet wounded, aloof yet craving to be understood. And you, with all your honesty, open your heart. You think, "At last I found someone I can trust." But the truth is, narcissists have no interest in being your partner. They care only about what you can provide. Money, status, admiration, or simply the energy to feed their hollow ego, everything becomes prize material. They don't look at you with appreciation, but with calculation. What can she give me? The more you trust, the deeper you fall into their game. They use your trust to test your limits. They forget their wallet at dinner, and you gladly pay. They demand your presence when you're most exhausted, and you set aside your needs to please them. They share sad stories to spark your pity, so you stay longer and give more. And each time you yield, they push the boundary further, as if your trust were an endless resource. But pay attention. A healthy person, when given trust, seeks to protect it. They are grateful, careful, afraid to hurt you. A narcissist is different. They see trust as a license to exploit. To them, you are not a person with feelings, but a resource to be drained dry. The cruelest part comes when they've taken everything. Without hesitation, they leave you behind. Your trust, your love, your sacrifices reduced to nothing but a chapter in their book of conquests. When you have nothing left to give, they turn the page and move on to their next target. And you, once so full of faith, are left weary, broken-hearted, with cracks running deep. But remember this, being used does not mean you are weak or foolish. Quite the opposite, it means you are someone who knows how to love, someone brave enough to believe in goodness. The mistake was never yours. The mistake was placing trust in the wrong hands. And that is a lesson, not an ending. So how do you protect yourself? First, learn to observe. Real trust is always accompanied by respect. If someone constantly takes without ever giving, if they treat your sacrifices as their right, that is your warning sign. Second, set boundaries. Trust does not mean handing over full control. You have the right to say, "I can't help you this time." You have the right to hold back a part of yourself. You have the right to refuse when you feel used. And above all, remember, The most valuable trust you must keep is the trust you place in yourself. When you believe you are worthy of fair love, you will no longer fall easily into the hands of those who exploit. When you trust your intuition, you will notice red flags you once ignored. And when you trust that healthy relationships still exist, you will dare to walk away and move toward those who deserve you. If your heart aches as you hear this because you remember the sting of betrayal, know this: you are not alone. Many have given their trust to a narcissist only to be left with scars. But what matters is not that you were deceived. What matters is that you are strong enough to rise, to learn, and to rebuild your life. See this experience as a profound lesson. It teaches you that trust should never be handed over just because someone knows how to speak sweetly. It teaches you that sincerity must walk hand in hand with discernment. And most importantly, it teaches you that your heart is far too precious to be anyone's toy. In the narcissist's game, trust is the doorway they use to step in. But in your journey, trust is the wings that carry you away from them, and toward the place where real love lives. You've seen it by now. No matter how skilled a narcissist is at hiding, their mask will always crack when the light of truth shines on it. As long as you stay aware, courageous enough to observe, to set boundaries, and to say no when necessary, their manipulations reveal themselves. In every scenario, whether they push your limits, lie to you, impose toxic behavior, exploit your compassion, or abuse your trust, you hold the power to see the truth and free yourself from their web. The most important thing to remember is this: you are not a powerless victim. You are strong. You have choices, and you have the ability to step out of the toxic cycle. You don't need to change the narcissist because the truth is you can't. But you can change yourself. Change how you respond, change how you protect your heart, and change how you live your life. Look back at everything you've been through. Yes, maybe you were exploited, hurt, even left in despair. But those very experiences have awakened you, made you wiser, made you more resilient. And today, you are no longer being led. You are the one holding the wheel. Never forget, you deserve a healthy relationship built on respect, understanding, and real love. You were not born to be anyone's endless source of supply. You were born to shine in your own way, to love without losing yourself, to live a life of peace and freedom. So, trust your intuition. Stand firm in your boundaries. Remember that silence can be more powerful than 1,000 justifications. And above all, love yourself enough to never allow a narcissist to define your worth. If what I've shared today has touched your heart, brought you clarity, or inspired you to make a change, take 1 second to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Because every video here is not just words, it's a journey to help you grow stronger, freer, and to find the healing you truly deserve. Please like this video if you found it helpful. Share it with someone who needs a powerful reminder, and leave a comment about your own experience. Your story could be the encouragement someone else needs to finally step out of a toxic relationship. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Remember, you are not alone. This community is here to lift you up, to remind you that you are strong enough to overcome, and that your future is meant to be filled with freedom and light. I'll see you in the next video.